In today's video, a boy fights a T-Rex, an undead zombie comes out of a wall, and a girl has the craziest hairstyle ever. Grab your popcorn as we recap The Gate, where nothing makes sense unless you're high as frick. This is Jace with Popcorn Recap. Glenn bikes home and notices something is wrong, so he calls for his family. At the house, it almost seems like his family just vanished as a table is set with food and no one is there. No, this isn't Home Alone. He hears something in the treehouse, so he climbs up to find a doll. Suddenly, lightning strikes the treehouse and it falls. Glenn wakes up to the sound of a chainsaw. Men are dealing with the fallen tree. Then a geode falls from the root of the tree and Glenn grabs it. It's super sparkly. Then it looks like steam is coming from the ground. A couple days pass and Glenn's friend Terry is helping him uncover the ground where the geode was found. Terry says there's gotta be more under there. Then suddenly he uncovers a large hole. Glenn gets a large splinter and bleeds. They hear a weird noise from the hole, and they find a larger ball sack, geode. Glenn's sister Al is throwing a bunch of her old toys away, and Glenn is upset since she promised they would launch the rockets together. Later, flying bugs come out of the hole, then weirdly the porch lights start to spark. Terry captures a few of the flying bugs. Later, the dad sees the uncovered hole and is upset. Glenn's parents are going to be gone for 3 days, so they put Al in charge. Glenn is grounded and is not allowed to leave the house. When his dad tucks him in, we see the bugs in the glass jar in Glenn's room. He tells his dad he filled in the hole. Glenn's dad tells him that Terry is cuckoo and hasn't been the same since Terry's mom died. Later that night, Glenn hears weird noises just outside his room. Then suddenly the flying bugs die. Most of the things that happen in this movie aren't really explained that well, so if you're confused, don't worry. Just smoke a joint, it'll start to make sense. The parents leave, then in cliché fashion, Al throws a house party. Al tries to be responsible at the party. While she's downstairs partying, Terry and Glenn open up the geode and it's all sparkly. Glenn notices that the geode made some marks on a drawing tablet. He reads the words out loud. Then the hole in the backyard is steaming. Downstairs at the party, they're telling scary stories. Glenn and Terry are listening in. A girl says levitation is real. Glenn and Terry walk by, and they ask Terry to come over so they can make him levitate. They lift him up, and he levitates. Glenn falls and cries. He rushes upstairs in embarrassment. Terry sleeps over and goes to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Glenn notices large shadows of moths right outside his window. Meanwhile, after Terry uses the restroom, he sees his dead mom coming through the front door. Oh no, Terry, back it up. Put it in reverse, Terry. Terry hugs his mom. Then all of a sudden he realizes he was hugging the dog and screams. Al and Glenn look to find out what's going on. The family dog has died. The next day, Terry apologizes for killing the dog, but Glenn says the dog was really old. Later, Glenn wonders what his sister did to the dog's body. He wants to call his parents to tell them about the dog, but Al stops him. A girl with the weirdest, ugliest 80s hairdo teases Glenn. Glenn says she's a clown. I agree. Later, Terry is playing pretend and copies a monologue from his favorite band, Sacrifix. He realizes the markings the geode made the other night is very similar to a book from the Sacrifix band. Back at Glenn's, goofy hairdo girl tries to convince Al to go to the beach. Glenn says she can't go out because of all the weird things going on. In Glenn's frustration, he calls Al's crush a bundle of sticks and then walks away. Crazy hairdo girl finally convinces Al to go. Glenn is crushed about this and stares at a photo of him and Al when they used to hang out a lot. He also looks at pictures of his dead dog. Under the bed, he finds an unopened present. It's a rocket that he got for Al. Glenn just tosses it. Then he hears electrical sparks. He goes outside where the sound was coming from and unplugs the light. He turns around and sees the hole is larger and steaming even more now. Terry comes over and he tells Glenn they summoned demons, so they decide to cover up the hole. Later, we see Al's crush, who has the dead dog in his car. He was trying to bring the body to animal control, but it's closed. At Terry's house, Terry explains to Glenn what he found out the other day while listening to Sacrifix's music. He says their lyrics tell you how to summon the demons. Terry translates the lyrics and says Glenn gave a blood sacrifice when he got the splinter. He shows a picture of the band levitating, just like how Glenn was. Terry says there was another sacrifice, the family dog. Terry plays the record backwards and says it's telling them how to close the gate. Since he wasn't able to bring the dead dog to animal control, Al's crush brings the dead dog back to the house. No one answers since the two boys are at Terry's house, so the guy decides to throw the dog into the hole. Back at the hole, Terry chants to close the gate. Al comes over and wonders what they're up to. Terry explains they've summoned demons, so they're trying to close the gate. Al asks them to uncover the door, and they see that the hole has been covered up. not knowing the teenage boy has buried the dog in there. Terry and Glenn think the chanting closed the gate. Al shows Glenn a present she got him. It's a rocket. As they leave, the lock on the door can be seen unlocking itself. While Al and Glenn are preparing the rocket, Terry reads from his book. Later that night, the doorbell rings and the clown is back. So Terry and Glenn do their own thing. They find a rocket stored in the closet. Al and her friends come to check out what's going on, and the clown really looks like a green clown now. Finally, Al's friends go to sleep while Glenn reads the demon book. Once everyone is asleep, we see a shadow that almost looks like a monkey. Glenn wakes up to the sound of the window blinds retracting up by itself. He goes to close it, then it retracts up again. Moths have invaded the window, and they somehow break the glass and attack Glenn. Glenn leaves the room and calls for Al. Al sees the broken glass, then tries to wake up Terry. Terry is behind them, so Al thinks it's all a prank. They uncover the dead dog. Then a large hand grabs Al's leg from under the bed. As she's getting pulled, Glenn and Terry tug her as well. From the commotion, the other two girls wake up, and they all rush to leave the house. By the way, the girl's crazy hairdo is still the same. She literally woke up like this. When they open the front door, their parents are there, and Glenn rushes over to them, but the dad starts to choke Glenn. Glenn pushes his fingers into his dad's eyeball, and liquid cereal starts gushing out of it. Then his dad's head falls to the floor. He screams and rushes back into the house. The lights turn off, and everyone panics. They light some candles and try to exit through the back door. Al says she'll go out first. At Al's feet, they see ugly-looking creatures. They look like a rough draft version of those little yellow minions. Honestly, I would just kick them. Crazy hairdo girl and her friend find one outside the window. They scream, and Al rushes back in the house. They shut the door, and a demon's hand is caught. It drops to the ground and becomes little worms, and they scatter. Crazy hairdo girl faints to the ground. The phone rings, so Al answers. A demon screams, then the phone spontaneously lights up and then melts. Glenn remembers the spells are in the basement, so they head there. Glenn sees a picture on the wall of his family, all bloody and dead. Terry finds the book, but it spontaneously burns. Glenn says they need to get the Bible. Crazy hairdo girl looks for a passage to read in the Bible, so they head to the backyard. Terry reminds them that the demons need 2 sacrifices. The girls get spooked, so they head back inside. The hole is now lit up like a gay dance club. Terry reads the Bible verse while the hole sucks up all the wood. Yep, exactly like a gay club. Terry then gets sucked into the hole and falls very deep inside. A small little demon thing comes over and Terry waves hello, but another one comes and bites him in the leg. Terry bitch slaps it, then another one bites him on the neck. Meanwhile, Glenn and Al try to get him out. There are many little demons now holding on to Terry's leg. Terry decides to step on one. I'd simply put my entire 240 pounds on these little things. They won't stand a chance. Terry manages to climb and Glenn brings over a rope. Then Glenn starts to read from the Bible. They finally get Terry out of the hole, and then Terry throws the Bible into the hole and it explodes. The 3 cheer, thinking they closed the gate. They enter the house and find the cowards hiding in the closet. They notice the front door is open, but it's just the boys ready to party. Al asks everyone to leave since she's over it. Later, Glenn and Terry are in the living room playing with the geode when all of a sudden a dead corpse goes through the wall. It wakes up and grabs Terry. He brings Terry into the wall. Glenn tries to rush over, but then all of a sudden the wall is like it's never been broken in the first place. Glenn goes upstairs to look for Al. He finds a bloody wall with inscriptions. Then in the mirror, Al sees the dead corpse. She tries to rush out, but Glenn walks into her room. The corpse goes through the mirror. Al throws something at it, and the corpse falls over and turns into little creatures. They rush out, and Al holds the door shut while Glenn looks over his dad's gun. He goes to the closet, where Terry bites him. Glenn screams for help, and Al comes over and uses Barbie's legs to poke Terry's eyes. From the closet, they see the creatures by the stairs. Al loads the guns, but the creatures are no longer making any noise. Then suddenly, the dead corpse comes from behind and grabs Al by the legs. Glenn tries to save his sister, but he's thrown across the room. Al is dragged into the closet and is gone. Glenn realizes he can use the rocket to kill the demon. The living room starts to fall apart, and just like this movie, a large plot hole is created in the middle of the living room, so Glenn rushes upstairs. Glenn looks for the large rocket. Then creatures start to come out of the hole, and all of a sudden a very large creature emerges. I don't know who is in charge of designing this ugly thing, but its tiny T-Rex arms just make me laugh. T-Rex stands over Glenn. It grabs Glenn's hand, then pets his head. The creature drops Glenn, then Glenn realizes there's now an eye in the palm of his hand. Glenn looks outside his window and sees a tornado-looking thing coming out of the hole. Glenn decides to lay on the ground as he cries. Then the jar with the moths rolls over to him, so he throws the jar at the tornado thing and begs it to return his sister in exchange for him. He finds a piece of glass and stabs the eye on his palm. The winds get crazier in his room, so he leaves. Glenn makes his way to the hole in the living room and sets up the rockets. Suddenly, T-Rex comes through the hole. Glenn launches the rocket into T-Rex. The rocket merges into its body, and T-Rex lights up. Glenn tries to leave the house and is blown out in a very funny way. Fireworks start to light up from the house and goes into the clouds. Suddenly, the sky looks normal now. The family dog comes out of the closet. No, he isn't gay. Then Al and Terry come out as well. They sit outside the house, and it looks normal, as if nothing happened. That's it for this confusing 80s movie. Until next time. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.